Nollywood bands are like shocking movie twists. One moment an actor is everywhere and the next, their career is suddenly on pause. Whether it's over outrageous fees, messy social media battles, or real life scandals that sound more dramatic than film scripts, some Nollywood biggest names have been found forced to step aside. So who got blacklisted and what exactly went down? Stick around, hit the like button, and let's dive into a list of Nollywood stars that face the big red card. Coming in first is Jerry Williams. From Nollywood prince to suspended star, in Nollywood, Jerry Williams was the very definition of a rising prince charming. He was the kind of actor who could step into an epic costume drama and make the audience believe he was a royal heir or melt the heart in a romantic flick with just one smile. His face became a regular feature on posters across Nigeria, and fans began to see him as the future of Nollywood leading men. But just like the twist we love in Nollywood movies, Jerry's story took an unexpected turn, one that not just the best screenwriter could have predicted. In 2023, the Actors Guild of Nigeria (AGN) shocked fans when they announced Jerry's suspension from Nollywood. The reason? Allegations of drug-related behavior that were beginning to spill out from behind the cameras and into the public. At first, many dismissed whispers as idle gossip. After all, Nollywood stars often play bad boy character and sometimes fans confuse fiction from reality. But with Jerry, the lines between acting and real life started to blur. According to AGN President Emeka Wolas, Jerry had been cautioned several times about his lifestyle choice. "We have been given warning signs," Wolas allegedly told him. But since you like suspense, here is an indefinite suspension. With that, Nollywood Golden Boy was officially benched overnight. Jerry Williams' career went from booming to hanging, and fans were left stunned. The Nollywood community reacted just like characters in palace drama. Colleagues whispered in corners, Jerry has done himself this time, oh." Producers who once couldn't wait to cast him began to quietly adjusting scripts, swapping out Jerry Williams for any fine boy available. Even fans joined the chorus of lamentation. Social media erupted with pleas like AGN, "Please free our Prince Charming." It was as though Jerry had been captured by Kanayo or Kanayo, one of those mystical films where only the intervention of several elders and an incantation could break the curse. But the AGN stood firm. They made it clear, no rehabilitation, no redemption. Until Jerry Williams comforted his issue, Nollywood will not welcome him back. This left his suspension feeling like a never-ending village curse, the kind where the protagonist wanders in the wilderness waiting for a chance at deliverance. Meanwhile, Jerry Williams' absence created a ripple effect. Film producers who relied on his charisma had to rethink projects, and up-and-coming actors suddenly found themselves with opportunities that would have otherwise gone to him. Yet, despite the vacuum he left, Nollywood kept moving forward. For Jerry Williams, the story is far from over. Suspensions in Nollywood can sometimes serve as a pause other than a full stop. Fans continue to hold out hope that their favorite star will return, clean up and stronger than ever. But for now, his career remains in suspense, like Nollywood movie that ends with the word "to be continued." Coming in next is Angel Unigwe. From rising star to industry outcast. Every once in a while, Nollywood introduces us to a new face that seemed destined for greatness. Angel Unigwe was one of those names, young, beautiful, and talented. She had the kind of spark that made audience sit up and pay attention. She carried herself like a natural born star, the kind you expected to see dominating screens for decades. But just like many Nollywood scripts, her career took a twist no one saw coming. Everything seemed to be going well for Angel Unigwe until Nollywood veteran and grandmaster Kanayo dropped a bombshell that shocked the industry. In a fiery Instagram outburst, Kanayo accused Angel and her mother of scamming producers. According to him, they had turned vanishing from set into a personal side hustle, showing up when convenient, then disappearing without warning, even after being paid. In Nollywood, allegations are common, but when it comes from a legend like Kanayo, people listen, and Kanayo didn't just raise a concern. He issued what felt like a spiritual injunction. He warned producers in no uncertain terms, if you dared book Angel, he would personally scatter the set. And if you know Kanayo reputation, you will know that scatter does not mean kicking a chair. It means thunder, lightning, and ancestral level chores. The effect was immediate. Producers began treating Angel like she was invisible. Casting directors who had once called her every week suddenly stopped picking up her phone calls. Her name vanished from movie credits as though it had been erased by some unseen hand. Even when she had already starred in a project, her presence was wiped from the promotion. One striking example was when a series she was featured in premiered without her name in the credits. Fans asked questions, but producers quietly distanced themselves, claiming Angel and her mother had demanded extra payment to attend the event. On social media, Angel tried to stay visible. Her mother, known for being vocal, rushed to her defense and challenging Kanayo accusation and demanding fair treatment. But in Nollywood, perception is everything. The more they pushed back, the more Angel image suffered. Instead of being celebrated as the next big thing, she was quickly rebranded as too much wahala. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere grew tense. Other actors whispered, some sympathizing, others shaking their heads. The industry can be unforgiving, and once your reputation slips, it's like quicksand, and the harder you struggle, the deeper you sink. By the time the dust settled, Angel Unigwe had gone from Nollywood rising princess to a cautionary tale about how quickly things can fall apart. For her fans, it was heartbreaking. They had watched her blossom only to see her sidelined before she even had a chance to reach her full potential. For Angel, the bound was more than a career setback. It was an error show. Nollywood treated her as though she had never existed. Her light dimmed not by lack of talent but by controversy and industry politics. Adamma Luke, from glamorous producer to Nollywood most controversial band. In Nollywood, Adamma Luke wasn't just another pretty face on screen. She was also a producer with ambition, known for her beauty, flair, and ability to deliver roles with charm. She was often cast as the glamorous wife, the jealous lover, or the bold city babe who could take on anyone. Her career seemed unstoppable. She wasn't only acting, she was calling the shots behind the camera too, building a reputation as one of the promising young producers Nollywood could count on. But in 2024, her story turned into something darker, more tragic than anything Nollywood itself could script. Adamma was producing a movie that required a risky scene involving a boat crossing a river. Nollywood fans are used to daring action scenes, but nobody could have predicted what would happen that day. In the blink of an eye, a filming accident that turned into a real-life tragedy. Beloved actor Junior Pope and several crew members lost their lives when their boat capsized. The industry was thrown into mourning. Fans wept, colleagues posted tributes, and Nollywood itself felt like it had been placed under a cloud. But as the tears flooded, so did questions: who was responsible? Who allowed such a risky stunt without adequate safety measures? Fingers began pointing and all eyes turned to Adamma Luke, the producer of the ill-fated project. Before she could even tell her side of the story, the Actors Guild of Nigeria (AGN) moved with lightning speed. They issued a suspension that felt more like a complete exile. It wasn't the casual take a break and come back when things cool down kind of ban. No, it was harsher, a carry your load and go type of punishment overnight. Adamma went from being a rising force to an outcast. The backlash was swift. On social media, Nigerians were unforgiving, many accused her of negligence, saying the tragedy could have been avoided with proper planning. Memes, angry tweets, and hashtags called for a permanent exile from Nollywood. Even producers who had worked with her before kept their distance, unwillingly to appreciate with a name now linked to death and controversy. For Adamma, it was more than a professional setback. Her personal brand, once tied to a glamour and creativity, was now overshadowed by grief and public anger. The woman who used to post behind the scenes clips full of laughter and excitement suddenly became the face of Nollywood darkest accident in recent years. Still, not everyone joined the mob. Some industry colleagues quietly expressed sympathy, pointing out that accidents can happen on set anywhere in the world. But Nollywood, where emotions run high and fans are deeply invested, forgiveness does not come easily, and with AGN bans, Adamma's career entered a long, uncertain pause. Her story now sits at crossroad. Will she fight her way back, rebuild trust, and perhaps use her platform to advocate for better safety in Nollywood productions? Or, has her career be permanently frozen, her name marked in red like a failed exam script? Coming in next is Anayo Modestus, from Nollywood fearsome villain to fallen legend. In the golden era of Nollywood, one name was struck fear in the hearts of movie lovers: Anayo Modestus. He wasn't just an actor, he was an experience. With his piercing eyes, rugged looks, and unmistakable swagger, he ruled the screen as Nollywood's ultimate villain. Whether playing the role of a ruthless gangster, a cunning armed robber, or the intimidating boss of crime, Hanks delivered his lines with chilling authenticity that made audience believe he was born to play the bad guy. For years, he was the go-to actor for action-packed blockbusters. His character didn't just scare the heroes on screen, they terrified viewers at home. Fans would say, if Anayo is in this movie, expect chores, gunshots, and a villain that never blinks. He embodied the danger in a way no one else could. But as powerful as his screen presence was, behind the camera, Hank's life began to unveil. Whispers started making the rounds on Nollywood. Reports of erratic behavior, substance abuse, and mental health struggles spread through the industry like wildfire. At first, people thought it was just gossip, exaggerated tales told by critics, but soon the signs became harder to ignore. Producers stopped calling. His once steady stream of roles began to dry up, and little by little, the actor who once dominated posters and VCD cover disappeared from spotlight. Then came the video that broke the heart of fans and sealed Hank's fate. In 2023, a clip surfaced online showing the once feared Nollywood villain roaming the streets, looking a shadow of his former self. For many, it was hard to believe that this was the same man who once commanded entire scene with a single glare. Some fans thought it was a role, a new movie trick to stay attention, but as the truth sank in, sympathy replaced shock. Colleagues like Sean George tried to defend him, insisting that Hanks was still strong, still capable of acting, but the industry had already moved on. Nollywood is quick to celebrate stars, but it can just be quick to abandon them when storms hit. And for Hanks, the unofficial ban was clear. No producers was willing to take the risk of hiring him anymore. It wasn't just announced with a press release or guild statement. It was silent, quiet, and perhaps even more painful. He was simply erased from casting lists, his name removed from scripts, his phone left unanswered. The villain who once dominated Nollywood crime thriller had become invisible. For fans, the fall of Anayo was tragic. He wasn't just a villain, he was a legend, a cornerstone of the industry action girl. To see him fade away like forgotten character was heartbreaking for Nollywood. It was a reminder of how quickly the spotlight can turn cold. Today, Hank lives more in memory than on screen. His legendary days as Nollywood fearless bad guy has preserved countless films, but the man himself, caught between myth and reality, he was once untouchable on screen, but in real life he became a cautionary tale, proof that even legend can fall when the cameras stop rolling. Coming in next is the G8, Nollywood 2010 blacklisted scandal. In 2010, Nollywood experienced one of its shocking shakeups. Eight of its brightest stars, some of the very faces who carried the industry into the new millennium, were suddenly blacklisted. The reason? Their soaring fame had led them to demand higher pay, stricter working conditions, and more creative respect. But instead of being celebrated for raising standards, they were punished. These eight actors became known as the G8. The group included Genevieve Nnaji, Omotola Jalade, Ramsey Nouah, Jim Iyke, Richard Mofe, Stephanie Okereke, Desmond Elliot, and Emeka Ike. Together, they presented Nollywood star power. When a movie had any one of them, producers were guaranteed massive sales, but their dominance also meant they began to recognize their worth and demand it. By 2008, reports emerged that the G8 had insisted on fees as high as 1.5 million per role, a fortune in an industry where most actors were paid far less. They also demanded better scripts and improved working conditions, something many producers felt was too much. The tension reached breaking point in Nollywood when a group of producers under the Association of Movie Producers (AMP) and marketers from Alaba International Market, then Nollywood Distribution Up, announced a ban, the effective immediately. These eight actors were blacklisted. No producers or marketer was to cast them in films. The justification: they were accused of being too expensive, arrogant, and difficult to work with. The fallout was dramatic. Fans were stunned. How could the very people who made Nollywood what it was be shot overnight? Newspapers splashed headlines about Nollywood war with its star. For a while, the Nollywood seemed divided between the marketers who controlled distribution and the stars who fueled Nollywood popularity. But the ban didn't break the G8. In fact, it pushed many of them to go even bigger. Genevieve Nnaji landed endorsements and international roles, proving her appeal went beyond Nollywood. Omotola Jalade launched into global stardom, eventually making Time list of 100 most influential people in the world. Ramsey Nouah reinvested in himself, later directing the blockbuster Living in Bondage, Breaking Free. Jim Iyke ventured into reality TV and business. R&D and Desmond Elliot leaned into politics and public service, while Stephanie Okereke made films that earned global acclaim. Even Emeka Ike, despite controversy, remained a familiar Nollywood name. In the instinct, the 2010 blacklist wasn't just about money. It was a clash between an old Nollywood system built on low-budget hustle and a new Nollywood era demanding professionalism and fair pay. The G8 were punished for wanting better, but their stand paved the way for today. Nollywood stars who now command millions per role enjoyed endorsements and work under better conditions. The G8 blacklist was a storm, but it became the lightning bolt that eliminated Nollywood needs to evolve. Coming next is Iyabo Ojo. Yes, we heard that right. Iyabo Ojo. From Nollywood diary to controversial outcast. Iyabo Ojo was once the sweetheart of Nollywood, especially in the Yoruba movie industry. With her beauty, charisma, and ability to switch between comic and dramatic roles. She quickly rose from being a fresh face in the late 90s to one of the most bankable Yoruba actress of the 2000s. She wasn't just an actress, she was a filmmaker, a businesswoman, and later the face of controversies that would put her at odds with the Nollywood power brokers. But how did this beloved actress find herself kicked out of Nollywood good books? Iyabo Ojo trouble didn't happen overnight. By the mid-2010s, she was already outspoken, never afraid to call out controversy in the industry. She publicly criticized colleagues, accused filmmakers of exploitation, and often clashed with associations like TAMPA, the Theatre Art and Motion Picture Practitioners Association of Nigeria. Unlike many actors who stayed quiet to protect their careers, Iyabo wore her emotions on her sleeve. The breaking point came in 2021 during the Baba Ijesha sexual assault scandal. While Nollywood was divided, some defended him, others condemned him. Iyabo Ojo took a stand for justice. She became the loudest voice demanding accountability, but her outspokenness came at a heavy cost. Tampa leaders accused her of bringing disputes to the industry. In June 2021, during a press conference, the session president Bolaji Amusu, aka Mr. Lati, and other leaders announced that no Tampa director or producers was to work with Iyabo Ojo or her close colleague Nkechi Blessing. In other words, she was unofficially banned. The announcement shocked Nollywood. Here was Iyabo Ojo, a mother, businesswoman, and one of Nollywood's most consistent stars, suddenly blacklisted for speaking her truth. Tapa's reason was that she had been disrespectful and had made reckless statements against the association of its elders, but to her fans, it looked more like punishment for refusing to play politics. Iyabo didn't stay silent. She fired back on social media, declaring she would never be silenced or bullied. "If speaking the truth will cost me jobs," she said, "then so be it." Her stance won her admiration from fans who praised her bravery, but it also deepened her rift with Nollywood gatekeepers. Since then, Iyabo Ojo has carved her own lane outside of Nollywood traditional structure. She runs a Fairpress Limited, a beauty business, and has become a huge influencer and TikTok sensation, using social media to stay relevant and connect directly with fans. She also became a key figure in political activism, especially during the exiles movement and later during the 2023 election, where she openly supports candidates, another move that splits opinion in Nollywood. Today, Iyabo Ojo remains a star, but one who exists largely outside Nollywood mainstream power structure. She's no longer the darling who got roles easily from every producer. Instead, she is the rebel who speaks her mind, regardless of who it offends. Some industry elders may have written her off, but to many fans, her boldness makes her one of the most authentic and fearless actresses Nollywood has ever seen. Coming in next is Tonto Dikeh, stand-up, scandal, and survivor. Few Nollywood actresses have carried as much light and fire as Tonto Dikeh. From her very first roles, she stood out as bold, daring, unapologetic. Producers loved her because she could carry any character: the rebel daughter, the seductive female fatale, or the broken woman fighting her way back. By the late 2000s, she wasn't just an actress, she was one of the Nollywood most controversial stars, constantly in the headlines. But her shine wasn't without shadows. Tonto's boldness often spilled beyond the screen into her personal life. She was outspoken, confrontational, and unafraid to challenge authority, threats that eventually put her at odds with Nollywood gatekeepers. Her frequent social media rants, public fights with colleagues, and unfiltered interviews created frictions. By the mid-2010s, Whispers began circulating that she has been blacklisted by Nollywood producers. Directors claimed she was difficult to work with, unpredicted on set, and too controversial for sponsors. Slowly, the once constant film roles began to dry up. Just as her Nollywood career began cooling, Tonto Dikeh's personal life heated up in ways no one could ignore. In 2015, she married businessman Olakunle Churchill, a union that at first looked like a fairy tale. Social media was filled with images of luxury cars, expensive gifts, and a glowing Toto. The arrival of their son, King Andrew, seemed to complete the picture. Fans believed she had finally found happiness beyond the movie set, but by 2017 the marriage collapsed explosively. What should have been a quiet separation turned into one of the most dramatic and public divorces Nollywood had ever seen. Toto accused Churchill of infidelity, domestic abuse, and fraud. She claimed he had cheated with multiple women, some allegedly in the entertainment industry, and painted a portrait of a man who had broken her spirit. Churchill in turn accused Toto of being violent, unstable, and destructive. Their battle played out daily across blogs, Instagram posts, and national television. At one point, Toto gave an emotional interview, crying as she recounted the alleged physical abuse. Videos, screenshots, and counter-accusations flooded the internet, turning their private pain into public spectacle. Okay, the divorce controversy only worsened at Nollywood exile. The producers who were already willing to work with her now avoided her completely, fearing her name would overshadow any project. Industry insiders whispered that Tonto has crossed from talented actress to working scandal. For many, it looked like her career was over, but Tonto Dikeh is nothing if not resilient. Instead of disappearing, she reinvested herself. She launched the Tonto Dikeh Foundation, turning her energy to charity work. She became a vocal advocate against domestic violence, using her own story to encourage women not to remain in abusive marriages. Later, she entered politics, surprising many with her seriousness and drive. A Nollywood ban and messy divorce could have destroyed her, but instead, they reshaped her. Next is Nkechi Blessing. Bold, banned, and unstoppable. In Nollywood, some stars shine because they fit the mold, while others shine because they scattered it. Nkechi Blessing Sunday belonged to the second category, a fairy actress who refused to tone herself down no matter the cost. Her Nollywood journey began in the Yoruba movie industry, where she was known for her passionate performance and bold screen presence. She didn't just act, she lived her roles, whether playing the bold, fearless woman who stood up to men or the vulnerable girl fighting for love. Nkechi had a way of pulling viewers in. By the late 2010s, she was no longer just another actress hustling for roles, she was a household name. But Nkechi Blessing's fame was never just about movies. On social media, she became just as popular and controversial as she was on screen. Unlike many colleagues who created quiet, polished images, Nkechi was loud, raw, and unapologetically herself. She clapped back at trolls, aired her opinion without filters, and gave fans front row seats to her personal life. To her fans, this made her real. To critics, it made her a troublemaker. The tension reached a boiling point in June 2021. The Theatre Art and Motion Picture Practitioners Association of Nigeria (TAPA), the Yoruba movie body, announced a shocking decision. Nkechi Blessing was banned from acting in Yoruba movies indefinitely. The reason? A heated social media war of words, where her outspokenness was seen as disrespectful to the industry elders. Alongside Iyabo Ojo, she was singled out as someone Nollywood needed to silence. The news shocked the industry. How could one of its brightest young stars be casted out for producers who relied on her star power to sell movies, it was a blow. For Nkechi herself, it was a defining moment. Many thought her career would nosedive, that she would be forced into silence, begging for a way back in. But Nkechi had other plans. Instead of shrinking, she pivoted. She leaned even more into social media, expanding as a brand influencer, entertainer, and businesswoman. She diversified her career into politics and philanthropy, showing that she was bigger than Nollywood closed doors. The band that was meant to clip her wings instead made her fly higher. Looking back, the 2021 ban did not kill Nkechi Blessing's career. Instead, it rebranded it. It proved that in a world where many actors depend solely on Nollywood for survival, Nkechi had built her own empire. While her relationship with Tampa and Yoruba Nollywood remains strained, her fan base across Nigeria and beyond continues to grow. Coming in next is Yomi Fabiyi. The actor who got banned over a movie, Yomi was once a promising force in Nollywood Yoruba sector, an actor, scriptwriter and director who poured energy into his roles and was loved for his passion on screen. But in 2021, his name became synonymous with controversy, dragging him into one of the most scandalous chapters Nollywood had witnessed in years. The storm began with Baba Ijesha sexual assault case when the veteran comedian was accused of molesting a minor. Nollywood was sharply divided. Some actors kept quiet, others condemned the act, while a few attempted to defend Baba Ijesha. Yomi became one of his most vocal supporters on social media. He consistently insisted that his colleague deserved a fair hearing, often clashing with stars like Iyabo Ojo and others who wanted him punished without delay. But things escalated beyond social media when Yomi released a movie titled Oko Iyabo, literally meaning Iyabo husband. In July 2021, the film was widely perceived as insensitive and shameless attempt to capitalize on a still-going child molestation trial. It appeared to dramatize the real case, mirroring names and situation, and critics argued that it downplayed the trauma of the victim while painting the accused in a sympathetic light. The backlash was instant and fierce. Nollywood colleagues and fans blasted Yomi, accusing him of glorifying and mocking survivors of abuse. The outrage grew so loud that the Theatre Arts and Motion Picture Practitioners Association of Nigeria (TAMPA), the same body that banned Iyabo Ojo and Nkechi Blessing earlier that year, had no choice but to act. In July 2021, TAMPA announced that Yomi was suspended indefinitely for producing Oko Iyabo. According to the association, his action violated Nollywood ethics, brought the industry into dispute, and showed reckless disregard for the sensitivity of the people. They warned producers and directors under the guild not to work with him until further notice. Yomi, never one to back down, defended himself. He claimed the movie was misunderstood, insisting it was meant to pass a normal message about abuse and justice, but few were convinced. To many, it looked like he was using art as weapon to fight his personal battle with colleagues who opposed him during the Baba Ijesha saga. The ban marked a turning point in his career, though still active on social media and sometimes in smaller productions. His once promising Nollywood path dimmed. Major producers distanced themselves, wary of being caught in a crossfire of his controversies. Lizzy Anjorin, the actress who took on Nollywood and paid the price. In the glaring yet turbulent world of Nollywood, Lizzy carved a name for herself as one of the boldest and most unapologetic actresses of her time. A Lagos-born star with raw talent and a fierce determination, Lizzy rose to fame through Yoruba language films, where her dramatic presence and fiery delivery made her stand out. But behind the applause lay years of tension, outspoken clashes, and controversies that eventually led to her falling out with Nollywood power figures. Her troubles began when she openly criticized colleagues in the Yoruba movie industry, accusing some of heavy backstabbing and hypocrisy. In interviews on social media, Lizzy claimed that many Nollywood stars lived a fake lives depending on men for survival while pretending to be hardworking. Her bluntness did not sit well with her peers. Instead of being celebrated for her honesty, she was branded rebellious, arrogant, and unwilling to play by the unwritten rules of the industry. The real war began when Lizzy had a bitter feud with her fellow actress Toyin Abraham. Their clash shook the Yoruba Nollywood cycle, with both women trading insults and accusations online. Lizzy accused Toyin of being a gossip and even went as far as making scandalous personal allegations, while Toyin responded with a defamation lawsuit. The feud divided the industry into camps, with some supporting Lizzy outspokenness and others condemning her for watching Nollywood dirty line in public. As the tension grew, Lizzy began to withdraw from the mainstream of Nollywood cycles. She alleged that producers deliberately sidelined her, refusing to cast her in big projects because of her constant fights with colleagues. Insiders whispered that Lizzy had been blacklisted by influential figures in the Yoruba Actors Guild, meaning that major producers and directors were instructed to avoid working with her, though not announced in dramatic press conference like some bands. Lizzy's explosion was just as effective. Scripts stopped coming, collaborations dried up, and her Nollywood presence dwindled. Lizzy, however, refused to bow out quietly. Instead of begging her way back into Nollywood good books, she doubled down on her independence. She launched her own fashion and jewelry business, built a personal brand on social media, and continued producing her own films independently. To her, Nollywood bands was proof of the toxic environment she had long complained about. An industry where speaking the truth came with punishment. Her resilience became both a shield and a sword. She rebranded herself as Liz Lawal, embracing a more glamorous public image. After her marriage in 2020, she flaunted her success outside Nollywood, showing her cars and thriving business to prove that she could survive without the mainstream film industry. Yet, her presence from Nollywood blockbusters left a visible gap in her acting career, one that fans noticed. So we have come to the end of this video of Nollywood actors who were banned from acting. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. Please like, share and comment on your all-time favorite actor. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye for now.